What's up, everyone? I don't know how many of y'all watched that debate last night, but hopefully you didn't because it wasn't worth watching. It was just a mess. The entire debate was a mess. So if you didn't watch it and you just listening to my recap, you better off. First of all, the moderators were absolutely horrendous. They had no control of the debate. Candidates was talking over each other the entire debate. For the entire debate, no lie, no exaggeration. They were jumping in and out, going over their time. And when a candidate in particular got attacked, speaking of Bernie Sanders, they didn't even give him time to respond to all the attacks. It was just a complete disaster. And they should never moderate a debate again. Now, it's bad enough they had Gail King there too. And, I did a few videos on her and made my feelings known about what I think of her. So I wasn't feeling that either. But not only was the moderators bad, the audience was bad too. Now, after the debate, it came out that to be in attendance, tickets was over $1,700. So of course, it's not going to be a lot of average folks there. It's going to be mainly elites, mainly people that is well to do. So that would explain why at times the audience was cheering for straight up BS that Bloomberg was saying. They was cheering for straight up garbage answers that Biden was giving, and they booed Bernie and they booed Warren. With that being said, I think Bernie Sanders had a pretty weak debate, to be honest. I don't know if there were really any real winners, but I think everybody kind of had a bad performance, and I think it was because of the way the debate was ran and how much of a cluster it was. But Bernie had a really weak debate. This is by far his worst performance. And I say that because it doesn't seem like he was fully prepared for the questions. Or maybe he was and just didn't deliver his answers right. For one, he got attacked pretty heavily on the gun issue. He should have seen that coming. I mean, Biden telegraphed that move. Telegraphed it. He been saying for about a couple weeks how he was going to go after Bernie on guns. And the way Bernie responded, I understand what he was trying to do. He started off by saying, well, Biden had some bad votes too. The audience started booing. They shouldn't have booed. They should have let him get through his answer. However, he didn't handle that question well. He should have explained, okay, this is why I made that vote at the time. And they talking about him voting against banning automatic weapons and protecting gun manufacturers from being sued. You explain why you made that vote at the time and what led to you changing your mind and what is your future plans for gun control. Three bullet points. Bam, bam, bam. Hit it. And just say that, yes, on this particular issue, Vice President Biden was right. Now, on other issues, I was right. The Iraq War, bankruptcy bill, and you go from there. But you admit, like, yes, you was right on this, and then hit your points going forward. That's what you do. But instead he made I don't know what he was trying to do, but it just wasn't a great answer. So that's one. Also, him trying to primary President Obama, he should have known that attack was coming, and sure enough, Biden hit him with that. And I just think he just didn't handle the debate well overall. Also, it was times he got attacked, as I mentioned earlier, that the moderators didn't give him a chance to respond back. You demand your time. You demand your time. It was a few times Elizabeth Warren just went in there and just talked over people, and everybody stayed quiet, and she got her point across. What Bernie should have did, he should have been like, okay, part of the debate rules is I get a chance to reply and demand your time to speak. And you don't even have to spend the whole time talking about the particular candidate that attacked you, but you go back to your talking points as well. You address whatever they said real quick, and then you go back and hit your message home. And that way, like you got control over the issue. But he didn't do that too many times. He let the moderators just skip his response. So I think it was a pretty poor performance for him. Now, Biden, for his standards, it was a pretty decent debate. I know I said that nobody really won, but if you force me to say somebody won this debate, it will have to be Biden. And I thought he started off pretty strong. I think he did what he needed to do. He started off hitting Bernie with some solid shots about him trying to primary President Obama, which probably not going to play well in South Carolina, and his votes on gun regulations. So those are two solid attacks on Bernie Sanders. Now, the attack later that didn't hit, he tried to pin Bernie with the Cuba thing, which, if you're not in Florida, I don't think most people cares. Most people don't care about that. And it's really a hacky talking point that all these talking heads on televisions are doing. I was watching Morning Joe today, and yes, I do watch mainstream media just to see what the narrative is that they putting out there. So the narrative that they putting out there is that Bernie bombed the Cuba question. I don't think he did, because he mentioned what President Obama said about Cuba, and everybody's like, no, what President Obama did, no, it was different. How was it different? He said the same exact thing that Bernie Sanders was saying. Bernie Sanders never said that he agreed with authoritarianism that was in Cuba or any other state. What he said is that they had a good literacy program. And I would go even further. No, I don't like the strict dictatorship that Cuba was under Castro and currently is still under. But when Castro was alive, he did do some good things. I'm sorry, it just undisputed fact. You want me to give you examples? Okay, I'll give you an example. Bernie listed the literacy program, which was good. I would go with Castro sending Cuba's troops to Angola to fight against the South African government. That's why when I explained this before, this is why when Nelson Mandela was released from prison and became president, one of the first stops he made was in Cuba. Yes, Nelson Mandela. And what was the United States doing at the time under Reagan and Bush? Hmm. They were. I got it. They were supporting the South African apartheid regime. Yes, they were. They were doing that. So while the U.S. at the time was supporting a racist apartheid regime, Castro in Cuba was fighting for Angola and South African black people freedom. I mean, you can look it up yourself. This is what happened. The media don't want to talk about that because it's an unwritten rule that everything Castro ever did was bad. But it's just not true. You gotta do independent reading. Most people is complicated. People have good aspects to them. People have bad aspects to them. And don't get me wrong, the bad with Castro was really bad, but he did do some really good things. It's just a fact. And the fact that Barack Obama complimented their healthcare system, and yeah, they have a good healthcare system, especially for a country that don't have a lot of money. It's just a fact. So I don't think those attacks that Pete and Biden tried to lay on Bernie with Cuba, I don't think that landed. And maybe it landed in Florida, but as I stated before, I think it's going to be difficult for any Democrat to win Florida, not just Bernie. Bernie might do a little bit worse than other Democrats, but even if Biden get elected, if Pete Bloomberg, I don't see any Democrat beating Trump in Florida because last poll Trump was over 50% approval rating in Florida. So it's going to be difficult for whoever the Democrat is to win Florida. And beyond the Cuba attack, I just think that Biden faded late in the debate. He started off really strong, but then as the debate went on, he started just yelling. And I think his advisors told him to be forceful, look like you have control, but you don't have to yell at every answer. So it started off strong, then started to fade, but overall, I would say he had a decent debate, not great. Might be enough to win South Carolina, though, and keep that momentum in that specific state. I'll get to that a little bit later, though. Now, I want to go to Tom Steyer just because he's number three in South Carolina, and a poll came out that had him second place behind Biden in South Carolina. So that's a possibility, too. He had a pretty poor debate as well. At times, I forgot he was even on the stage. And Biden, and this is another reason why, if I'm forced to, I would say Biden won. He hits Tom Steyer really hard with the private prison. Very devastating blows with that. Because Tom Steyer is doing well in South Carolina, he's doing well because he's speaking to black issues. However, that private prison is it is really negative. It's going to hurt. It's definitely going to hurt. I do like the fact that Tom Steyer is one of the only candidates speaking directly to black issues. Do I trust him? No. But at least he is speaking directly to black issues. I mean, he just came out with this 27-page black agenda, including reparations. And again, this is how bad the moderators are. When he mentioned reparations, they just moved on. No discussion of it at all. I would have liked to hear every candidate opinion on reparations. They asked Bernie a ton of times. They have asked Elizabeth Warren before, but I want to hear Bloomberg opinion on reparations. Especially since Bloomberg is competing for black votes in Super Tuesday. What his opinion on reparations? You know, he already have a horrible record with stop and frisk. Part of the damage could be reparations. So Bloomberg, what do you think of reparations? That would have been an interesting follow up. How about Biden? Because last time he was asked about reparations, he pivoted to immigration and didn't answer the question. So I want Biden on the record. What do you think about reparations? Right? So that would have been a good follow up by the moderators, and of course they didn't do that. The moderators just completely failed at their job. All right, so moving on. So you had Warren, right? I think Warren had an okay debate, but I don't think it was enough to approve her position. Going after Mike Bloomberg, I'm always for that. I know some people thought she was overdoing it, and I could see the danger of doing that. But my opinion is basically F Mike Bloomberg, so I don't care, you know. Um, but I don't think she did anything to really improve her position. She did try to distinguish herself from Bernie, and I thought her line of attack was actually pretty good. It wasn't vicious, but I thought the distinction was well placed, was well worded, and I think she did it in a way where it won't alienate most Bernie supporters. Some Bernie supporters don't like her anyway, but I thought it was a pretty decent line of attack, but nothing that would really damage Bernie chances of the nomination or damage him at all, really. But I don't know. She just have to do more. I just don't see where she goes from here. In South Carolina, she's polling like at fifth place. I think the last poll I seen. Just I don't know. I don't know why her numbers are so low right now. I guess maybe because Bernie is eating up all the progressive votes and the moderates are going to Pete and Amy and Biden. I don't know. I thought she would do a little bit better than that, but it doesn't look like it. So, on from Warren to Pete and Amy. Both had pretty bad debates. Amy was just there. She was talking, and really, every time she talked, I don't really care what she be talking about. She often don't say anything of substance. It's just corny jokes and how we can't do something, really. Like, she doesn't inspire me at all. I don't get her appeal, and I don't think most people do because she in last place in almost every poll. Besides Tulsi Gabbard, Tulsi Gabbard's still in the race. Just in case you forgot, why she's still in the race, I have no idea, but more power to her. So Pete, Pete had the worst debate of anybody up there. He seems hacky. I think the video that came out, him just doing his Obama impersonation. What I mean by that, he's stealing words from Obama, giving the Obama tone, and he he's unbearable to me. Really is. He's like, besides Bloomberg, he's my least favorite candidate. It goes Bloomberg, my least favorite, is my least favorite at the bottom. Then Pete right above that. I mean, just terrible. Just everything about him is terrible. So it was one point where he talked over. He tried to interrupt Bernie's whole answer, and what Bernie did was yell over him, but just made it was just chaos. And I don't I don't know what his advisors told him. Obviously, his advisors told him to attack Bernie, and that was the strategy. But just that didn't make him look good. Yes, attack, but the way he attacked was hacky. And he rarely says anything with any substance at all. It's usually platitudes with no specifics, and just he just a garbage candidate. I really don't understand his appeal. Really don't. And he should have been disqualified, in my opinion, for his handling of the police department in South Bend. I'm not even going to get into that right now. Not even going to get into that. It was funny. Oh, back to the moderators too. It was funny that they asked Pete this question about Bloomberg stop and frisk. They asked Pete and Amy, two people that got police problems of their own. Amy when she was a prosecutor, Pete as mayor of South Bend. I wanted to hear Elizabeth Warren opinion on that. I wanted to hear Bernie opinion on that. I wanted to hear Steyer opinion on that, and even Biden's opinion on that. They asked the two worst candidates about that. The two worst candidates they can ask, they asked, and they did that purposely. I think they definitely did that purposely. And when they came back around, they asked the other candidates a different question. It was just frustrating, just frustrating. Again, the worst debate so far, maybe the worst debate I ever seen. I put it like that. So what should we look for going into Saturday? Saturday is the South Carolina primary, and Poland kind of been all over the place, but one consistent has been that Joe Biden been at the top of the polls. Bernie Sanders been second in most polls, sometimes by like as little as 1 point, and another poll he was behind as many as 15. Now I don't know exactly how much Joe Biden is going to win by, but I do believe Joe Biden is going to win. Would I be surprised if Bernie win? Yes. Would I be shocked? I wouldn't be shocked because I do think it's an outside shot that Bernie can win, depending on turnout. But South Carolina is just not a state made for him, in my opinion. It's a lot of older voters, a lot of older black voters, and they just not feeling Bernie. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I don't want to declare that Biden's definitely going to win, but I think he should definitely be the favorite. Ho- Hopefully, it's close because I tell you what, people is acting like Bernie got the nomination back. It's not in the bag. If Biden can have a pretty decent victory in South Carolina and then go into Super Tuesday with a little bit of momentum, I mean, because he's right there in Texas, he's right there in Virginia, he's right there in North Carolina. He can win a few of these southern states, and then you got a contest. So some Bernie Sanders supporters are getting a little bit too ahead of themselves. You know, it's unfortunate for if you support Bernie that South Carolina is the next primary, not a state made for him. I think he would be doing better almost in any other state, damn near except for Florida. South Carolina is just a bad state for him. But it's not impossible. He has been gaining momentum, but I just don't see him being Biden. And I think it's even an outside chance that Steyer might finish second. Like we'll see. I don't know how solid his support is, and especially after Biden hit him with the private prisons, it's hard to predict. But Steyer do have legit, like some legitimate support in South Carolina. Um, After the private prison revelation that Biden hit him with, will all his black support stay? I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see. And it is a possibility that Steyer can eat up in some more of Biden's support too. We just don't know. Um, we just don't know. So It's hard to say, but I like Biden to win South Carolina. And then you have Super Tuesday right after that. You know, we'll see. Bernie have a chance to basically lock up the nomination by the end of Tuesday night, or we could have a real prolonged competitive primary. Bloomberg's competitive in some of these states too. Why? I don't know. He shouldn't be. you know, I don't see the appeal of Bloomberg whatsoever. But I'm gonna get off that. But yeah, Bloomberg and Biden are right there in a lot of these Super Tuesday states. So we just have to see. Right. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share. And definitely growing this channel. We need voices like mine out there. I don't want to be, I don't want to sound arrogant, but we need independent media because what they doing on CNN, what they doing on MSNBC, they not getting voices like mine out there. Even on the progressive left, a lot of times they don't focus on a black point of view, a black progressive point of view. A lot of times it's lost. So we need voices like mine out there, so be sure to subscribe. Be sure to share the video. Click that notification bell when I drop new videos. Thank you for your support. Peace.